I found him bleeding on my freshly mopped kitchen floor at 2 a.m., and my first thought wasn't call an ambulance. It was this man better not die before paying me for overtime. But then Korea's most feared Mafia boss looked up at me with those dying eyes and whispered 5 words that changed everything. Just one night. Please stay. And here's the crazy part. I said yes. Not because of the gun on his hip or the blood pooling around my favorite slippers, but because, well, you'll have to stick around to find out why a single mom with a 3-year-old and rent due in 2 days made the stupidest, most dangerous, most absolutely insane decision of her life. My mom bet me this story wouldn't hit 10,000 views or get 1,000 subscribers. She said, nobody wants to hear about a maid and a mafia boss. Well, if you want to help me prove my mama wrong and find out how a man who's killed for less ended up begging me for mercy, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit the like button too, because every like is basically you voting for me to win this bet against my mom. Now let's get into how this beautiful disaster started. I've had bad Tuesdays before. Like the Tuesday my ex left me pregnant with a note that said sorry, fatherhood isn't my vibe. Or the Tuesday I realized Korean ramen, while delicious, cannot substitute for actual vegetables in a toddler's diet. But finding a gorgeous, bleeding Korean man sprawling across my employer's marble floor at 2 a.m.? That was a Hall of Fame bad Tuesday. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered, still holding my mop like a weapon. Because of course on the one night I decided to deep clean the kitchen to avoid my thoughts, a whole entire gangster decides to bleed out on my freshly Swiffered tiles. He looked up at me, and even half dead, the man was unfairly attractive. Sharp jawline. Dark eyes that probably made people confess to crimes they didn't commit. The kind of face that belonged on a K-drama, not leaking bodily fluids onto Italian marble. Help, he rasped in English, then immediately switched to Korean. His hand pressed against his side where blood seeped between his fingers. Oh, absolutely not. I stepped back, nearly tripping over my bucket. I am a maid, sir. I clean messes, I don't create them. And you? You are a whole crime scene. He coughed, and I definitely didn't notice how his white shirt clung to what appeared to be an exceptional set of abs. Focus, Amara. The man is literally dying. Please. His voice cracked. One night. Just stay. Stay. I laughed, the slightly hysterical kind. Baby, I don't even know who you are. Kong. Ji-hun. Each word seemed to cost him. Your employer's son. Oh. Mr. Kong had a son? In 3 months of working here, cleaning this ridiculously huge penthouse, I'd never seen anyone except the old man himself. And now his son, who apparently moonlighted as a whole crime lord based on the gun I could see tucked in his waistband and the very professional-looking stab wound, was bleeding on my floor. Well, Mr. Kong, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt, your father hired me to dust, not to perform emergency surgery. Not surgery. He tried to sit up, failed spectacularly. Just don't want to die alone. And there it was. The thing that made me, Amara Okonkwo, single mother, professional maid, amateur overthinker, make the stupidest decision of my life. Because I knew that fear. I'd felt it in that delivery room when my ex didn't show. I'd tasted it every night I checked on my daughter Maya, terrified something would happen to me and she'd wake up alone. You're literally the worst, I informed him, dropping my mop with a clatter. Where's the first aid kit? His eyes widened slightly. Surprise looked good on him. Annoying. Bathroom. 3rd door. I ran, my mind already cataloging everything I'd need. I wasn't a nurse, but growing up with 4 brothers and then raising a tornado of a toddler meant I knew my way around wounds. When I returned, arms full of supplies, he'd managed to prop himself against the kitchen island. Blood smeared the white cabinets. Mrs. Kim was going to have a fit. Take off your shirt, I ordered. One eyebrow rose. Even dying, the man had audacity. For medical purposes, you absolute walnut. I knelt beside him, snapping on latex gloves I'd found under the sink. And if you make a single inappropriate comment, I'm leaving you here to bleed out while I finish my TikTok draft. You do TikTok? He actually smiled. A real, genuine smile that transformed his whole face. Don't sound so surprised. What, maids can't have hobbies? I pressed gauze against his wound, and he hissed. Sorry. Well, not that sorry. You're bleeding on my Tuesday. Your Tuesday? This was supposed to be my easy night. Maya's at my mom's. I was going to clean, maybe watch some Netflix, definitely not play nurse to a, what are you exactly? Gang leader? Mob boss? Really committed cosplayer? Something like that. He watched me work with an intensity that made my hands shake slightly. You're not afraid? Oh, I'm terrified, I said cheerfully, applying pressure. But I'm also a single mother in Seoul with a 3-year-old, student loans in 2 countries, and rent due in 48 hours. You think I have energy left over for fear? Please. Terror is item number 47 on my priority list, right after figure out why Maya keeps eating her crayons. He laughed. Actually laughed, then groaned because apparently laughing with a stab wound was a bad idea. Hold still, I commanded. Who did this to you? People who don't matter now. They matter if they're going to show up here looking for you. His eyes met mine, suddenly serious. They won't. I made sure. I didn't want to know what made sure meant. The wound wasn't as bad as it looked, shallow, already clotting. I cleaned it, bandaged it with probably too much tape because better safe than sorry. You're good at this, he murmured. I'm good at a lot of things. Cleaning, negotiating toddler hostage situations, apparently saving random crime lords. I sat back on my heels. There. You'll live. Probably. I'm not a doctor. Thank you, Amara. I froze. I never told you my name. His smile turned slightly dangerous. I know everything about everyone in my father's life. Creepy. That's super creepy. Protective, he corrected. Potato, stalker potato. I started packing up supplies. Okay, I've done my good deed. You can go now. Can't. He didn't move. Not safe yet. Not safe. For who? For you. And that's when the penthouse lights went out. What happens when the lights go out? Who's hunting Ji-hoon? And why does Amara feel like she just made a deal with the devil's devastatingly handsome younger brother? Okay, I whispered into the darkness. On a scale of 1 to Amara needs to update her will, how bad is this? Ji-hoon's hand found mine in the dark, warm, steady, and way too comfortable for a man who'd been bleeding out 5 minutes ago. Don't move, he murmured. His thumb brushed across my knuckles, and I told myself the shiver running down my spine was fear. Just fear. Definitely not because Korea's most dangerous man was holding my hand like we were on a date instead of potentially about to die. I'm a single mother, I hissed back. Not moving is literally impossible for me. I haven't sat still since 2022. I felt rather than saw his smile in the darkness. Then footsteps. Multiple sets. Heavy boots on marble. Ji-hoon pulled me behind the kitchen island with surprising strength for a stabbed man. Our faces were inches apart, his breath warm against my cheek. Whatever happens, he whispered, stay quiet. Stay hidden. Oh sure, because I was planning to jump out and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Amara, I clean here. Would anyone like refreshments while you murder people? His shoulders shook with silent laughter. You talk when you're nervous. I talk always. It's a personality trait. Maya gets it from me. Last week she negotiated with her preschool teacher for 15 extra minutes of playtime using a comprehensive slideshow presentation. She's 3. Amara. His hand cupped my cheek, forcing me to focus. Even in the dark, I could feel the intensity of his gaze. I need you to trust me. I don't even know you. Then trust that I won't let anything happen to you. Before I could respond with something witty about how that was a terrible basis for trust, the penthouse door crashed open. Voices. Korean. Angry. I caught maybe every 5th word with my barely conversational language skills, but I definitely understood Kong Ji-hoon, and what sounded like very creative threats. Ji-hoon's entire body had gone predator still. The wounded man from minutes ago had vanished, replaced by something dangerous and controlled. The footsteps came closer. Kitchen. They were heading to the kitchen. Ji-hoon shifted, putting himself between me and the approaching threat. His hand moved to the gun at his waist. Absolutely not. I grabbed his wrist, shaking my head even though he probably couldn't see me clearly. Because gunfire meant police, police meant questions, questions meant my visa situation getting very complicated, very fast. He leaned close, lips brushing my ear. What are you doing? Saving both our asses, I whispered back. Follow my lead. And when I say run, you run. I don't run. Well, tonight you waddle quickly while clutching your stab wound. Same difference. Before he could argue, I grabbed the mop I'd abandoned earlier, stood up, and flicked on my phone's flashlight. Yeah. I shouted in my best stern mother voice, the one that made Maya immediately stop whatever chaos she was creating. Who is in this house? 4 men in black suits froze, blinking at me like confused, violent deer. I channeled every ounce of my mother's Nigerian fury, every bit of righteous anger from every time someone had underestimated me. Do you know what time it is? I brandished the mop like a sword. I am working. I have a daughter at home. And you people are tracking MUD. I gestured at their boots, all over my clean floors. One of them stammered something in Korean. I don't care if you're looking for someone. I stomped toward them, and I swear to God, these grown men backed up. This is a private residence. You want Kong Ji-hoon? He's not here. I've been cleaning all night. Nobody here but me and these marble floors that you are ruining. The apparent leader looked uncertain. He said something to his men. English. I snapped. I don't speak Korean well enough for this nonsense. We apologize, he said slowly. We look for dangerous man. The only dangerous thing here is my boss when he sees dirt on his white carpets. Out. Now. Before I call the real police, not whatever nonsense you people are. I advanced with my mop. They actually retreated. Check rooms, the leader ordered his men, trying to save face. 5 minutes. I shouted. Then I'm calling security. And my lawyer. And my mother, who is scarier than all of you combined. They scattered to search the penthouse. The moment they were gone, I grabbed Ji-hoon's hand and pulled him toward the service elevator, the one only staff used, hidden behind a panel in the kitchen. You threatened armed gangsters with a mop, he whispered, sounding somewhere between awed and disbelieving. I've negotiated with toddlers. These guys were easy mode. I jabbed the elevator button repeatedly. Come on. You're insane. I'm efficient. There's a difference. The elevator dinged. We tumbled inside just as I heard boots returning to the kitchen. Ji-hoon slumped against the wall, and I noticed blood seeping through his bandage again. You reopened it, didn't you? Worth it, he murmured. That was incredible. That was stupid. We both just did something incredibly stupid. The elevator descended toward the parking garage. They're going to realize I lied. They're going to come back. Then I can't let you go home. I stared at him. Excuse me. They saw you. They'll investigate. Find out who you are. His jaw tightened. I won't risk it. So what, I'm kidnapped now? Is this a kidnapping? Because I have to pick up Maya tomorrow at noon, and my mom will absolutely kill us both if I'm late. Not kidnapped. Protected. Same thing when you're the one making the decision for me. The elevator stopped. Garage level. Ji-hoon straightened, scanning the shadows. I have a safe house. 20 minutes from here. You'll stay there tonight. With you? A strange man? Yeah, that's not happening. With me. Not a strange man anymore. He caught my hand again, and this time I definitely noticed the calluses, the strength. The woman who just saved my life with a mop and pure audacity. Flattery doesn't work on me. Doesn't it? He smiled, and it should be illegal for a man to smile like that while bleeding. Your pulse says otherwise. I yanked my hand back. That's adrenaline, you arrogant. Car engines. Multiple. Screeching into the garage. Run. Ji-hoon grabbed my hand, pulling me toward a sleek black motorcycle in the corner. I am not dressed for a motorcycle. Would you prefer bullets? He had a point. He threw his leg over the bike, started it with a roar, then looked back at me expectantly. I hate you, I informed him, climbing on behind him. Noted. He revved the engine. Hold on tight. If I die, my mom gets custody of Maya, and you have to explain to her why her daughter's last moments were on a motorcycle with a bleeding crime lord. If we die, he shouted over the engine, I'll let you lecture me about it in the afterlife. Cars screeched around the corner. Headlights. Shouts. Ji-hoon gunned it. We shot out of the garage into Seoul's neon-lit night, and I wrapped my arms around his waist, pressed my face against his back, and thought about every poor life choice that led me here. His heart thundered against my cheek. Strong. Steady. Alive. Where are we going? I shouted over the wind. He glanced back, and even terrified, running for our lives, his smile was breathtaking. Somewhere they'll never find us. And just like that, my simple Tuesday night became the beginning of something absolutely insane. They're running. They're hunted. And Amara just realized she's holding on to Korea's most wanted man on a motorcycle at 3 a.m. What could possibly go wrong? Ji-hoon's safe house was a penthouse. Because of course it was. Your idea of hiding, I said, stumbling off the motorcycle on shaky legs, is a luxury apartment in Gangnam? No one expects it. He dismounted smoothly, like he hadn't been stabbed and hadn't just driven like a maniac through Seoul for 20 minutes. They'll search the obvious places. Warehouses. Safe houses in questionable neighborhoods. So you hide in the most expensive neighborhood in Korea. Exactly. He punched in a code, and the private elevator opened. Think like the enemy to defeat the enemy. I think you just wanted an excuse to have a nice apartment. That smile again. Dangerous. That too. The elevator ride up was silent except for my thundering heartbeat and the concerning way Ji-hoon leaned against the wall, face paler than before. You're bleeding again. I'm fine. Men. I jabbed the elevator button like it would make us arrive faster. You're all the same. I'm fine, while literally dying. Maya does the same thing. Mommy, I'm fine with a Lego stuck up her nose. He laughed, then winced. Did you compare me to your 3-year-old? If the stubborn fits. The elevator opened directly into the apartment, and I forgot how to breathe. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline. Minimalist furniture that probably cost more than my annual salary. Art on the walls that looked suspiciously like actual museum pieces. You're bleeding on what I assume is a very expensive rug, I observed. Ji-hoon looked down at the white carpet, now decorated with blood drops. It's replaceable. Everything's replaceable when you're rich. I grabbed his arm, steering him toward the massive leather couch. Sit. Stay. Don't move. I'm not a dog. You're acting like one. Where's your bathroom? I need proper supplies this time. He pointed down a hallway. Second door. Code is 0614. Your bathroom has a code? The medicine cabinet does. It has sensitive materials. If you have drugs in there. Medical supplies, he corrected. Antibiotics. Real bandages. Maybe some morphine. Maybe some. I stopped. Breathed. You know what? Fine. This is my life now. Motorcycle chases and bathrooms with pharmaceutical-grade security. The bathroom was bigger than my entire apartment. Marble everything. A bathtub that could fit 4 people. I tried very hard not to think about who Ji-hoon might have shared that tub with. The medicine cabinet opened to reveal what looked like a small hospital supply closet. Organized. Professional. Slightly terrifying. I grabbed what I needed and returned to find Ji-hoon had removed his ruined shirt. Lord have mercy. You could warn a girl, I muttered, very deliberately looking at his face and not at the impressive display of abs and perfectly sculpted chest now on display. You told me to take off my shirt earlier. That was medical. This is just gratuitous. His eyes sparkled. Am I making you uncomfortable? You're making me remember I haven't been on a date since Maya was born. I knelt beside him, focusing on the wound. Now shut up and let me work. This time I had proper supplies. Antiseptic. Real bandages. Even surgical tape that wouldn't leave residue. My hands worked automatically, but I was hyper-aware of everything else. The warmth of his skin under my fingers. The way his breathing hitched when I pressed too hard. How his eyes tracked my every movement. Why'd you help me? He asked quietly. Because you asked. People ask me for things all the time. I usually say no. Maybe I'm nicer than you. You threatened armed men with a mop. Okay, maybe we're equally unhinged. I secured the final piece of tape. There. Try not to get stabbed again for at least 48 hours. I'll add it to my calendar. I sat back, suddenly aware of how close we were. How intimate this felt, kneeling between his legs, his skin warm under my hands. I should call my mom, I said, standing quickly. She'll worry if I don't check in. It's almost 4 a.m. She's up. Maya's an early riser. Inherited my terrible sleep schedule. I pulled out my phone, then paused. Wait. They can't trace this, right? Track my location. Ji-hoon's expression shifted. Give me your phone. Excuse me. Just for a minute. He held out his hand. Please. I handed it over, watching as he did something complicated with settings I didn't understand. There. Location services off. Encrypted. They can't track it now. He gave it back. Call your mother. I stepped toward the windows, putting distance between us while I dialed. Mom picked up on the second ring. Amara? Baby, it's early. I know, Mom. I'm going to be late picking up Maya tomorrow. Maybe afternoon instead of noon. Everything okay? That maternal radar, never wrong. Yeah, just work stuff. Mr. Kong needed some extra help tonight. Not technically a lie. His son definitely needed help. Mom's suspicious tone. This wouldn't have anything to do with a man, would it? Mom. I hear that tone. That's your there's definitely a man, but I'm not telling you tone. Behind me, Ji-hoon coughed. It sounded suspiciously like a laugh. There's no man. Just work. I'll text you when I'm on my way tomorrow, okay? Amara Joy Okonkwo. Love you, bye. I hung up before she could interrogate further. When I turned around, Ji-hoon was watching me with that intensity again. Amara Joy? My mom's a pastor. All the names are biblical. Be glad you don't have to hear my full government name. I'd like to. Something in his voice made my stomach flip. This was dangerous territory. He was dangerous. A crime lord. A man with enemies who'd chase us through Seoul. A man who kept morphine in his bathroom and had multiple safe houses. I should sleep, I said. It's late. Early. Whatever. Guest room is through there. He gestured. Take whatever you need. What about you? I'll stay here. Keep watch. With a stab wound. I've had worse. That's not reassuring. I crossed my arms. You need rest too. I'll rest when I know you're safe. I'm literally in a fortress penthouse in Gangnam. You're literally being hunted by my enemies because you saved my life. The weight of that settled between us. He was right. Those men saw me. They'd investigate. Find out who I was. Where I lived. Where Maya was. My hands shook. I clasped them together. Hey. Ji-hoon stood, cross to me despite my protest. His hands cupped my face, gentle. I won't let them touch you. Or your daughter. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. His thumb brushed my cheek, and I realized I was crying. When did I start crying? You saved my life tonight, Amara. Now let me save yours. This is insane. This whole thing is insane. Completely insane, he agreed. His forehead rested against mine. The woman who yelled at gangsters with a mop. Who made me laugh while bleeding out. Who compared me to her toddler. You're not convincing me this is a good idea. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. His voice dropped to a whisper. I'm just telling you that for the first time in 10 years, someone stayed. Not because they feared me. Not because they wanted something. But because I asked. Because you're good. I'm not that good. I wanted to leave you there. But you didn't. He pulled back enough to meet my eyes. Why? Because. I swallowed hard. Because everyone deserves someone to stay. Even crime lords with nice abs and terrible life choices. He smiled. Real. Genuine. Breathtaking. Nice abs. Did you hear nothing else I said? I heard it all. His hand slid to the back of my neck. Every word. We stood there, in his ridiculous penthouse, at 4 a.m., while people hunted us. And all I could think was how warm his hand felt. How safe I felt, which was absolutely ridiculous. I should really sleep, I whispered. You should. Neither of us moved. Ji-hoon. Yes. If we die tomorrow, I'm going to be really annoyed I didn't finish my TikTok draft. He laughed, full and bright. Then kissed my forehead softly. Go to bed, Amara. We're not dying tomorrow. Promise. Promise. I went to the guest room, but I didn't sleep. And somehow, I knew he didn't either. One night of protection. One dangerous man. One single mother who's in way over her head. But when morning comes, they'll have to face what's chasing them. And what's growing between them. I woke up to the smell of bacon. For a solid 30 seconds, I thought I was home. Then I remembered, motorcycle chase, stab wounds, Korea's most wanted man currently bleeding in a penthouse. Right. Tuesday had officially become Wednesday, and my life was a K-drama now. I stumbled out of the guest room wearing the oversized t-shirt I'd found in the drawer. Ji-hoon's, obviously, smelling like expensive cologne and poor decisions. He stood in the kitchen, shirtless except for fresh bandages, cooking. You were stabbed 8 hours ago, I said. He didn't turn around. Good morning to you too. Don't good morning me. You should be resting. I am resting. Restfully making breakfast. He plated what looked like a full Korean spread plus Western options. I didn't know what you'd like. I stared at the food. Bacon, eggs, pancakes, kimchi, rice, soup. Enough to feed 6 people. Did you cook all this? I stress cook. He finally looked at me, and his expression did something complicated when he saw me in his shirt. It's a thing. Most people stress eat. You stress cook an entire buffet. I contain multitudes. He pulled out a chair at the breakfast bar. Sit. Eat. Bossy. It's literally my job description. Fair point. I sat, and he placed a plate in front of me with a careful selection of everything. Like he'd been paying attention to what I might want without asking. Coffee or tea? Coffee. Strong. With enough sugar to make a dentist cry. He smiled, already reaching for the coffee maker. A woman after my own heart. Your heart is probably made of ice and criminal activities. Mostly accurate. He poured 2 cups, added an alarming amount of sugar to mine without measuring. But there's a small section reserved for people who threaten armed men with cleaning supplies. I tried the coffee. Perfect. Annoyingly perfect. How's the wound? I asked around a mouthful of pancake. Better. Thanks to my very aggressive nurse. I wasn't aggressive. I was thorough. You called me a walnut. You were being a walnut. We ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Outside, Seoul was waking up. Morning light painted the city gold, and it was almost possible to forget people were hunting us. Almost. So, I said, setting down my fork. What's the plan? I can't hide in your penthouse forever. I have a daughter. A job. A life. Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. I'm working on it. That's not a plan. That's I'll figure it out later. I've contacted my people. By tonight, the men from last night will be handled. I didn't want to know what handled meant. And then what? I just go back to mopping floors like nothing happened. You could. He met my eyes. Or you could let me pay you. Pay me for what? Saving your life? I'm not a mercenary. Pay you for the trouble I've caused. New apartment, new identity if needed. Enough that you and Maya are set for years. My stomach dropped. You want to pay me off? No. He stood abruptly, wincing. I want to keep you safe. There's a difference. By throwing money at me and making me disappear? By giving you options. His voice rose, then he caught himself. Breathed. You saved my life. The least I can do is make sure yours isn't destroyed because of it. My life isn't destroyed. It's just complicated now. Complicated. He laughed bitterly. That's one word for it. I stood too, crossing to him. Hey, look at me. He did, reluctantly. I'm not some damsel you need to rescue with cash and new identities. I'm a single mother who's been handling complicated for 3 years. I can handle this too. Not this kind of complicated. Try me. We stared at each other. The air felt charged, electric. You're infuriating, he said softly. You're bossy. You're reckless. You're bleeding through your bandage again. He looked down. Damn it. Sit. I pushed him toward a chair. Let me check it. Amara. Sit. Down. Or I'm calling your enemies and telling them where you are. He sat. I peeled back the bandage carefully. The wound had reopened slightly, not serious, but enough to need fresh dressing. You can't keep doing this, I murmured, cleaning it gently. Pushing yourself. You need actual rest. I've never been good at rest. Clearly. I applied new gauze. When's the last time you took a day off? Just existed without the crime lord thing. He was quiet for a long moment. I don't remember. Something in his voice made my chest ache. That's sad, Ji-hoon. That's life. That's a choice. I secured the bandage. You choose this. Every day. It's not that simple. Isn't it? I sat back on my heels, looking up at him. What would you do? If you could choose anything. Be anyone. His hand found my hair, fingers threading through the curls I hadn't bothered to tie back. I'd probably still be exactly where I am, he said quietly. But maybe, with someone who calls me a walnut and doesn't flinch when I bleed on expensive rugs. My breath caught. Ji-hoon. I know. His thumb brushed my cheek. Terrible timing. You're being hunted. I'm recovering from a stab wound. You have a daughter and a life I'm destroying just by existing near you. You're not destroying anything. Yet. Stop being so dramatic. You're Korean, not Shakespeare. He laughed, and the sound did dangerous things to my heart. My phone buzzed. Mom. Mom, Maya wants to know if you're bringing her something from work. Mom, also she drew you a picture. It's very abstract. I think it's supposed to be you, but it might be a dinosaur. Mom, she misses you, baby. Guilt crashed over me. Here I was, in a penthouse with a beautiful crime lord, while my daughter drew dinosaur-me pictures. I need to see her, I said, standing. Today. I can't just hide here while she thinks I abandoned her. It's not safe. I don't care. My voice was firm. She's 3. She doesn't understand complicated. She just knows mommy didn't come home. Ji-hoon stood too, and I saw the war in his expression. Safety versus understanding. Protection versus reality. Okay, he said finally. Okay. We'll go together. But we do it my way. My security. My rules. I'm not bringing gang security to my mother's house. Then we meet somewhere neutral. Public. Safe. He pulled out his phone. There's a park. Near Hongang River. My men can secure it without being obvious. You can just secure a public park? I can secure anything. He typed something. Give me 2 hours. We'll make it work. I wanted to argue. Point out how insane this was. But he was trying. Actually trying to give me what I needed. 2 hours, I agreed. But Ji-hoon. Yes. If anything, and I mean anything, happens to my daughter because of this. I didn't finish the threat. Didn't need to. He saw it in my eyes. Nothing will happen to her. His voice was steel. I promise you. On my life. Your life isn't worth much to me yet. Then I'll have to change that. He smiled, and despite everything, the danger, the insanity, the absolutely terrible life choices I was making, I smiled back. You're going to try to charm me, aren't you? Is it working? Ask me after I've had more coffee. He poured me another cup, and when our fingers brushed, neither of us pulled away. 2 hours until I saw Maya. 2 hours in a penthouse with a man who was either going to save my life or completely destroy it. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. My blood went cold. Unknown. We know who you are, Amara Okonkwo. We know where your daughter is. Run all you want. We'll find you both. The phone slipped from my hands. Ji-hoon caught it, read the message, and his entire expression went deadly calm. Get dressed, he said quietly. We're leaving now. What about your plan? The security. He looked at me, and I saw the crime lord fully emerge. Plans change. Now we go to war. They've found Maya. They've made their threat. And Ji-hoon just promised war. But can a mafia boss and a single mother really protect a 3-year-old from an entire criminal organization? I'd never seen anyone move like Ji-hoon did in that moment. 1 second he was reading the threat. The next, he had 3 phones out, barking orders in rapid Korean while simultaneously pulling weapons from hidden compartments I didn't even know existed. We have maybe 10 minutes before they move, he said, strapping a holster to his side. My men are already heading to your mother's address. How do you know my mother's address? I know everything about you. He tossed me a jacket. Put this on. It's bulletproof. Bulletproof. My voice cracked. Ji-hoon, this is my baby we're talking about. He crossed to me in 2 strides, hands on my shoulders. Look at me. Amara. Look at me. I did. His eyes were calm. Focused. Deadly. I have 15 men surrounding that building right now. Another 20 on standby. No one, and I mean no one, gets near your daughter. Understand? You can't promise that. I'm Kong Ji-hoon. His voice dropped. I own half of Seoul's underworld. I've toppled governments. Destroyed empires. You think I can't protect one 3-year-old girl? Put like that. Okay, I breathed. Okay. Good. He handed me a phone. This is encrypted. Direct line to me. If anything feels wrong, anything, you call. I'll answer. What about you? You're wound. Is the least of my concerns right now. He was already moving toward the door. Come on. We take my car. Faster. His car was an armored SUV that appeared in the basement garage within 90 seconds, driven by a stern-looking man who nodded once at Ji-hoon and didn't even blink at my cleaning maid appearance. The drive to my mother's apartment in Itaewon took 12 minutes. Longest 12 minutes of my life. Ji-hoon spent the entire time on the phone, switching between Korean and English, coordinating what sounded like a small military operation. Rooftop secured. Good. What about the rear entrance? Check every vehicle within 3 blocks. I want eyes on. I grabbed his hand. He stopped mid-sentence, looked at me. She draws pictures, I said quietly. Maya. She draws pictures of everything. Last week she drew our apartment, except she added a dragon living in the bathroom because she said it looked lonely. His expression softened. Yeah. And she sings. Loudly. Off-key. Made up songs about her breakfast and her shoes and the pigeons outside our window. Amara. If anything happens to her. My voice broke. He ended the call. Pulled me into his arms, careful of his wound. Nothing will happen to her, he murmured into my hair. I swear on everything I have. Every dollar. Every connection. Every breath in my body. I believed him. God help me, I believed him. We pulled up to my mother's building, and I counted at least 6 of Jihoon's men positioned casually around the area. Newspaper vendor who watched too carefully. Couple on a bench who sat too straight. Delivery driver who hadn't delivered anything in 10 minutes. Stay close, Jihoon said as we exited. His hand found the small of my back. Protective. Possessive. I didn't hate it. My mother opened the door before I could knock, took one look at Jihoon, then at me, then back at Jihoon. So there is a man. Mom. Not now. Amara Joy, you said there was no man. That is clearly a man. A very handsome, very dangerous-looking man. Mrs. Okonkwo. Jihoon bowed slightly, perfectly polite. It's an honor. Mom's eyes narrowed. You're Korean. Yes, ma'am. You're rich. Moderately. You're the reason my daughter looks like she hasn't slept and is wearing a bulletproof jacket. Jihoon didn't miss a beat. Also yes. I like him, Mom announced. He's honest. Come in. Maya's been asking for you every 5 minutes. The apartment was small, cramped, nothing like Jihoon's penthouse. But it was home. Safe. Normal. And then I saw her. Mommy. Maya launched herself at me, all wild curls and gap-toothed smile, and I caught her, breathing in her shampoo smell, her little kid energy, her everything. Baby girl, I whispered. I missed you so much. You were gone forever. She pulled back, examining my face with serious 3-year-old scrutiny. Grandma said you had important work. Was it very important? Very important, I confirmed. Then she noticed Jihoon. Her eyes went wide. Mommy, there's a prince in Grandma's house. Jihoon choked on what might have been a laugh. He's not a prince, sweetie. He looks like a prince. Like in my books. Maya wiggled down, walked right up to Jihoon with zero fear. Are you a prince? No. He crouched down to her level, and something in my chest cracked open at the sight. But I am a friend of your mom's. Mommy doesn't have friends. She says she's too busy. Maya. You said that. Last week. To Grandma. Jihoon's shoulders shook with silent laughter. Well, he said seriously to Maya, maybe I can be her first friend. Maya considered this. Then, with the devastating honesty of toddlers everywhere, you have a boo-boo. She'd spotted the bandage peeking out from his shirt. I do, Jihoon agreed. Mommy fixes boo-boos. She's the best at boo-boos. She is, he said softly, meeting my eyes. The very best. My heart did something stupid and dangerous. Mom cleared her throat. Maya, baby, why don't you show your mommy the picture you drew? Oh, the picture. Maya grabbed my hand, dragging me toward the kitchen table. The picture was abstract. Definitely could have been me. Could have been a dinosaur. Could have been both. It's beautiful, I said. That's you and that's me and that's Grandma and that's the dragon from the bathroom. Obviously. And that, she pointed to a tall stick figure, is the prince who's gonna protect us from bad guys. I froze. Maya drew this yesterday. Before Jihoon. Before everything. Baby, how did you? I dreamed it. She bounced excitedly. The prince came and made the scary men go away and then we all had ice cream. Mom and I exchanged looks. Just a coincidence, Mom murmured. But she didn't sound convinced. Jihoon appeared in the doorway, phone to his ear, and his expression made my blood run cold. We need to go, he said quietly. Now. What happened? They're moving. 3 cars. Heading this direction. His jaw tightened. We have maybe 5 minutes. Mom grabbed Maya immediately. I'll take her to my sisters. They don't know about her. No. Ji-hoon stepped forward. With respect, Mrs. Okonkwo, they'll find her. They found Amara's phone. They have resources. Then what do you suggest? Come with us. All of you. I have a place. Secure. Completely off-grid. You want me to trust my daughter and granddaughter to a man I met 10 minutes ago? No. Ji-hoon met her eyes steadily. I want you to trust that I would die before I let anything happen to them. And I have 200 men who would die to protect what's mine. We're not yours, I started. Aren't you? The air crackled. Maya tugged Ji-hoon's pant leg. Mr. Prince? Are the bad guys coming? He looked down at her, and his expression transformed. Gentle. Kind. Yeah, little one. But I won't let them hurt you. Promise. Pinky promise? He held out his pinky. She hooked hers around it. Pinky promise. That decided Mom. 5 minutes, she said. I'll pack essentials. She disappeared into the bedroom. I pulled Ji-hoon aside. Please tell me you have an actual plan and not just throw money and men at the problem. I always have a plan. Which is? We disappear. Completely. New identities. New country if necessary. I have resources. I'm not running to another country. Then we end this. His voice went deadly cold. Permanently. Meaning? Meaning I find who sent that text. Who ordered the hit. And I remove them from the equation. You mean kill them? I mean protect you. He cupped my face. By any means necessary. Footsteps on the stairs. Heavy. Multiple. Too early. They shouldn't be here yet. Ji-hoon's entire body went rigid. He pushed me behind him, hand moving to his weapon. Bedroom. Now. Take Maya and your mother. Lock the door. Ji-hoon. Now, Amara. I ran. Grabbed Maya from the living room, found Mom emerging with a bag, and shoved them both into the bedroom. What's happening? Mom demanded. Just lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me or Ji-hoon. Outside, I heard voices. Korean. Angry. Then Ji-hoon's voice, calm and cold as ice. You made a mistake coming here. A laugh. Did we? Looks like we found exactly what we came for. You found your death. Big words for a man with 1 gun and a stab wound. Who said I only have 1 gun? Silence. Then chaos. Gunfire. Shouting. Things breaking. Maya started crying. I held her close, covering her ears, singing softly. One of her made-up songs about dragons and princes and happy endings. The door burst open. I screamed. Ji-hoon stood there, breathing hard, blood on his knuckles but none of it his. It's over, he said. They're gone. Gone or? My men have them. They'll be questioned. Then dealt with. Mom pushed past me, looked at the destroyed living room, then back at Ji-hoon. You brought a war to my home. Yes, ma'am. And I'll buy you a new one. I don't want a new home. I want my family safe. Then come with me. All of you. I can give you that. I stepped forward, still holding Maya. For how long? A week? A month? Eventually, we have to live our lives, Ji-hoon. Then let me end this. Give me 3 days. 72 hours. I'll find who's behind this and eliminate the threat. And if you can't? His eyes met mine. Then we run. Together. And I spend the rest of my life keeping you safe. Maya lifted her head from my shoulder. Mr. Prince? Can we have ice cream after? Like in my dream. Ji-hoon's expression cracked. He smiled. Genuine. Beautiful. Yeah, little one. Ice cream after. Promise. Pinky promise? Pinky promise. I looked at my mother. She looked at Maya. Maya looked at both of us with 3-year-old wisdom. I like him, Maya announced. He keeps his promises. And somehow, in that destroyed apartment, surrounded by evidence of violence and danger and terrible life choices, I made my decision. 3 days, I told Jihoon. You have 3 days. I only need 2. Confident. Motivated. His hand found mine. I'm motivated by very important things now. Like what? He looked at Maya, then Mom, then me. Like ice cream promises and little girls who draw dragons. Like mothers who threaten armed men with mops. Like family. My throat tightened. We're not your family. Not yet. His smile was soft. Hopeful. But maybe, in 3 days, you could be. And despite everything, the danger, the insanity, the absolutely ridiculous situation, I smiled back. Ask me after the ice cream. Deal. Outside, sirens wailed. Jihoon's men were already cleaning up, making evidence disappear, making it look like nothing had happened. But everything had happened. And somehow, impossibly, I was falling for a crime lord who pinky promised my daughter ice cream while planning to destroy his enemies. My mother was right. I really needed to make better life choices. But looking at Jihoon, holding Maya, surrounded by chaos and possibility, maybe this terrible choice was exactly the right one. The end. Or just the beginning. 3 days. 1 mafia boss. 1 single mother. 1 3-year-old with prophetic dreams. And the promise of ice cream. They say love conquers all. But can it conquer rival gangs, international crime syndicates, and a toddler's very specific ice cream preferences? Comment below if you want to see what happens in those 3 days. And whether Jihoon survives meeting Amara's entire Nigerian family. Spoiler, the Mafia might be less terrifying. Drop a like if you want part 2. And subscribe because my mom's watching those numbers, and I really want to win this bet. Your girl needs those 10k views and 1k subscribers. Let's prove MOM wrong together. See you in the next story. If we survive.